Turks and Caicos is one of the best vacation destinations with white sand beaches and tons of activities. But while we were there, we learned what not to do.
The first thing that we learned not to do was you don't want to stay on the main island the whole time.
The other islands are obviously a lot smaller, but you can fly into most of them, and the beaches on these islands is just stunning. There's nobody on them.
We're not saying anything is wrong with Providenciales, the main island that you fly into from the United States or anywhere else you're coming from. Like, Providenciales is cool, especially some of the very nice destinations on the island that everybody loves going to, like Grace Bay. But when you're going to other islands like Grand Turk, wow, those places are spectacular.
And I think the main thing that sticks out is, one, you get like more interactions with the locals, and all the locals in Turks and Caicos are so nice. I think the prices might be just ever so slightly, but the biggest thing for me was when we were at Grace Bay, there was so many people there, and we were there on a rainy day. All of the days we went to the beaches in Grand Turk, there was nobody there, maybe like one other group, except for the cruise days. If you can try to plan around not being there on the cruise days, the beaches do get more busy then, but then it's also kind of fun because they have like all these like pop-up little bars and restaurants and stuff for the cruise port, so it's not really bad either way.
We definitely had a great time in both Providenciales and Grand Turk, but I would say if you have enough time, try to go to both islands or any other islands that we also didn't get a chance to visit.
Which actually leads us into our next point, which a lot of people don't know this, but Turks and Caicos is one of the places that the humpback whales migrate to have their babies in the warm, shallow waters. So while you're there, you should definitely go whale watching, or you can actually get in the water with the whales, which is what we did, and it was spectacular, which is just another reason not to stay just on Providenciales, because we did this in Grand Turk.
And the whales, they don't make their way over to the main island, and so that's why you are going to have to go to Grand Turk
or Salt Cay
to see the whales. And you also need to know that the whales aren't there throughout the entire year. January through April is when you have a chance to go whale watching, but February and March is really the peak season for the whales.
But guys, you should really go, because it was like the best experience of our life. It was amazing.
And that leads us into our next point, is that you shouldn't just stay at the resort the entire time you're there. When you're in Turks and Caicos, I mean, there are not that many available hotels for you to stay in, and a lot of them are going to be right on the beach. It's going to
very expensive.
And really expensive, but it's going to feel like, I mean, you're in paradise. It feels like a really cool experience to just be right near the beach and the water. It's great, but you don't want to spend all of your time there.
I mean, you would miss out on the whales, the flamingos, and the food that we had in Turks and Caicos was so delicious. And usually if you go to the local spots, the food's going to be so much cheaper, which is huge because Turks and Caicos is a very, very expensive place. So I can name like 2 restaurants off the top of my head that you should go to just to meet the locals and eat the delicious food.
We'll save the restaurants for another video. We made one of going around the island of Providenciales, trying out different restaurants in a whole separate video if you want to check that out. The food, it's really cool to just see the scenery of the island, not just the beach, even though the beach is one of the best parts. There's so many things to do that you don't want to spend the entire time at the resort, even though you're paying a lot for your hotel room.
There's also lots of like wildlife there. Like there's stingrays and reef sharks and whales and sea turtles. Like, you want to go out and experience that for sure, because the ocean here is amazing.
And if you really want more of a local experience, maybe stay in a different area than all the other hotels, you can do Airbnb. There were a lot of Airbnbs when we were looking for our accommodation, and we actually did stay not in hotels at any of the places that we were just doing Airbnbs, and we thought it was great, and we saved a lot of money doing that too.
And just kind of like a tip that I have, it's not really a don't do this sort of thing, but just know going to Providenciales, there is so many stray dogs. Especially if you go to a beach that isn't a tourist beach like Grace Bay. We went to like a local beach and we were the only ones there, but there was tons and tons of stray dogs, which I just don't personally love.
None of them ever bothered us the entire time we were in Turks and Caicos, but they were like walking and running around, and it made us a little uncomfortable at times, but I mean, we never had a problem with them, even though we saw a bunch of stray dogs.
This one is short and sweet, but when you're going to Turks and Caicos, you definitely do not want to forget your bug spray, because we got bit by so many mosquitoes and we had bug spray on most of the time.
Yeah, this one, you just need to be aware of that. Just come prepared. Of course, like, don't forget the sunscreen either. And you are probably going to want to pack these things and not buy them in Turks and Caicos. I mean, it is a pretty small collection of islands, and so prices are going to be more expensive than what you're used to at home, most likely. So just make sure to pack the bug spray and the sunscreen.
This one is very, very important. There's no public transportation, so you cannot rely on public transportation whatsoever. We actually never rent cars anywhere we go, and we rented one on Providenciales because there's lots of different beaches, there's lots of different hotels, you can look for like flamingos and stuff, so you definitely want to have a car. Otherwise, you're going to be relying on taxis a lot, and they are very expensive.
This was my second time driving on the left side of the road and sitting on the right side of the car to drive. And I was pretty nervous about this, but I mean, there was no problems. And it was really, really fun to drive around to all the different spots that everyone says to go to. And if we were relying on taxis the whole time or just walking everywhere, we would not have seen everything that we wanted to. So don't rely on public transportation because there's nothing there, and you either rent a car or you take a taxi, and the taxis, they were going to be way, way more expensive than just renting a car for a few days.
And speaking of driving around looking for things, we unfortunately got super windy weather while we were there, and yeah, it turns out the flamingos don't like that, so they go hide. I talked to so many people that were like, you're gonna see so many flamingos, and I was so excited, and we literally did not see one the entire time, and we searched for them. We searched for them hard.
We looked everywhere around the island, even some places where, you know, we'd take our rental car down some really bumpy roads to try to see them at various lakes and ponds, but it didn't happen, and we were sad about that. But I mean, I'm just grateful it didn't ruin our experience of Turks and Caicos, because we actually had a fantastic time, and we love the islands, but no flamingos. I'm sure that would have made it a little bit better.
No flamingos, but like Jacob said, it is an amazing place, and I have no regrets. It's amazing. And we'll probably go back next year, maybe, or the year after that.
Wow.
All the time.
Well, I don't know about that, but it was so great. And another thing that you should not do, you should not go into it thinking that, oh, I can't go to this beach because there's a bunch of like big fancy hotels right there. Like, I think all the beaches in Turks and Caicos are public. At least like the ones that we went to, like the popular ones, like we just walked right up, and yeah, there may be people like trying to like sell you to go like sit in their chairs, but you can just walk right past them if you want and go sit on the beach. Or if you want to sit in chairs, you can also do that too.
Yeah, I mean, all of the fancy hotels like blocked a lot of the really nice beaches, but you just gotta find a way to like, there's usually like a little alley or something you can walk by, and you can hang out on the beach and you don't have to stay at the hotel. So we did that a lot.
I feel like that's a win there. Save a bunch of money at an Airbnb and then just go to the really nice beaches that all the fancy hotels are on.
If you enjoyed this video, we have tons of other vlog style videos in Turks and Caicos that you can check out. We'll put some of them here, and we thank you so much for watching, and we hope that you will subscribe for more.